Hi, so this particular one I am going to talk about specifically matrix coding queries. And this is the think tank part where you can start doing comparison in your data, whether it be literature, whether it be qualitative interviews, focus groups, etc. And today I'm going to use an example from my big school age athlete project, which specifically will show you how to discern between what comments are being made between different groups of your data. So let's go over and have a look at that right now. So I'll share the screen and we'll share it. Okay, so as you can see, we're right into the big think tank here, and it will allow us to have a look at today specifically what the females were saying about bullying and marginalisation. So let's create that. Now we can only create this query if we've already gone through and, as we have done, created the case notes and the case classification sheet, which brings in the demographics, which instructs the program as to what are the discerning characteristics between these groups and the numeric amounts. So it allows the program to be running these comparison matrix coding. So go to query, select your matrix coding. Now you can add it to your project, as I have it's already added in there, but I simply named it. So I'll name it female comments. And they must be unique names. So I'm not going to rename this or run it again. I'm simply not going to add it to my project, but you can do that and say, okay, if it's a unique name, it goes straight into there. Now, the discerning thing about the matrix coding criteria is X against Y. In other words, your rows against your columns. So that means that we have to link in and add in to this particular query everything that we need to compare against and come up with some findings. So let's have a look at the rows first of all. So let's select and let's go down to case classifications, because remember that's where our demographics are sitting right there about our participants and what they've said, all the individual scripts, etc. Now today we're going to have a look at gender. So I'm going to not click unassigned and not applicable, but I want to see the difference between my males and females and exactly what they're starting to say about certain issues that they came up with in studying and also training at the same time whilst doing school. So let's add male and females and go okay. Now it hasn't appeared here. You have to add to list to actually make it appear. Then you're going to go to columns. So what do you want to know about that could be striking or similar or dissimilar between males and females? Well, here I want to add the columns, and I specifically want to go into my nodes that I've already coded the data, because this is a matrix coding query, and I'm going to look at the dimension that I've coded for already about the impact on their life, which certainly could have been in a social aspect of bullying. And interesting, I wanted to see, I heard, and as I was coding, some comments perhaps about drugs and alcohol. So I'll do that today. I'll say, okay, I'll add that to list. And now I'm looking at these two concepts between male and females. So I'm going to now run that. Now you would run that and it'll come up. I've already got it saved into my project. So if you click add to project, it will add it in, and then you can go in and run like I'm doing. Now, as you can see, a matrix no matrix came up. So what were the differences in comments between what you've coded? And the way that I like to see the dominance between is to cell shade it. So I just right clicked and went to cell content, and I was doing it on coding references. You can actually do it on sources, and you can click for that to change to sources if you want, in all classifications or whatever, but I always leave it on referencing, so the number of references that come up. As you can see, there seems to be a distinct difference, and I can see that numerically, but when I chart it, I can see it more visually. All of this is live data. I can change the charts if I prefer to change the charts, which I won't at the moment, but if I'll show you the different types of chart settings in a minute. But I can see here visually the males said nothing, so there's silence in the text about what they were commenting about. And remember, the question wasn't asked, so the females came up with it. To see more clearly what they were saying, I would right-click on the live data and open the matrix. The matrix, it churns over, and as you can see, it summarises and lists down here everything that the participants said. I can get a summary of it. As you can see, every female said something about it. They're all live, and I can open them up straight from here, or I can go to the references and hyperlink to them with the blue hyperlinks that are there, and it takes me straight back to my transcripts, and it highlights the exact comment that was there, and as you can see what that participant was saying. I can also get a text up and see and highlight into each of these individual texts and bring them up directly what each one was saying and how many comments that were made, certainly, and keep going down the list. As you can see, one of them said extensive amount, and they're all listed there. You can either copy and paste those out or whatever. Now, it's all logged up here. I'm going back to the main screen. I can see then the difference between what the comments that the females and males were saying about drugs and alcohol. Again, I can open up the link. I can bring up the comment of what I was looking at for the males. So I'll just go back in and bring that up. And you'll be able to see exactly what the females were saying and how many they were saying. So in this particular idea of drugs and alcohol, the females were saying about the drinking, etc. You can hyperlink directly into what they were saying. And as you can see, it highlights straight back to your transcript, or you can actually bring it up with text again and see what the particular participants, and the summary is also sitting there as well. And going back here, you can actually change the chart, as I was saying. So if I wanted a more discerning stacked opinion, I could stack it and it would change, and I can definitely see that between them, the females said a majority on bullying, not so much on drugs and alcohol, but certainly when, without being prompted, the males said a lot more. Again, it's telling me there was 8 references there. I can open the matrix straight from there, for example. It's all live data, as I said, and I can hyperlink straight from there as well. So it's all layered data, layer upon data upon data. As I can see, it takes me straight back to Bob's transcript of what he was saying. And so it allows that layer upon layer to be able to, you know, see exactly what was happening. As I said, when I hyperlinked into the males here with that particular stacked view, I could actually bring up a summary and I could see exactly who was saying what in the males. And then, of course, I could bring up all their texts and go straight to their text by hyperlinking straight into it. Which allows me to bring up anything that they were saying. There was rife. It was rife. Okay, so that was what one of the male participants was saying. So it allows you to go and investigate and thoroughly compare what was being said. So it's always a good idea to make sure that you have this big think tank and what you're doing all the time with your matrix coding queries, which gives you that comparison. Thank you.